Hello my friends, welcome into another edition of Ranking the Video Games. And today is a big one. Today we're ranking the Super Mario Brothers. And we're ranking a little bit of everything here, okay? So on this tier list we have the console games, we have the handheld Marios, and then we also have the RPGs. So this is going to be a fun one. I've played all of these games. In fact, as I go through the list, I'll double check, but I believe I own all of these games too. So this is going to be a fun one. We all grew up on Mario. We all love Mario. And I mean, we all know what next week is, right? The movie finally coming out. I'll tell you this. Back in '93, when the Super Mario Brothers movie came out back in the day, that was with, John Leguizamo, Bob Haskins, and Dennis Hopper. And I saw that in the theater. Like, it was opening weekend. In fact, my grandma took me to see the movie. And I know it gets a lot of negative press, but I still enjoy the movie. I thought it was good, and I actually still enjoy it to this day, and I have it on Blu-ray. So at any rate, I figure with this animated Mario movie, we can only go up from there, right? So I have tickets to it. I'm actually seeing it on opening night, and I'm seeing it in 3D. Just because it's like, you know, I'm interested to see what Nintendo's done with it in 3D. It might be cool. Like, 3D movies are fun. I'm not going to be able to see it at home in 3D. So might as well see it in the theater because that's the only place I'll be able to see it in 3D, right? Makes sense? All right, so here we go. Starting off with Super Mario Maker. Now, this is an interesting one to rank, and I'm kind of glad it's on the list. Just because, you know, it's a mainline Mario game, but it's like not, but it is. You know what I mean? Like, it could go either way. And with Super Mario Maker, I mean, you get to make your own Mario games. So the replay value there is very high. But it's not an adventure story driven Mario game. So it's a weird one to rank. So I'm gonna just try to rank it based on it being a game, and a great game at that. So I'm gonna give it an A, because it can be whatever you want it to be, right? It's just not made by Nintendo, so it's not gonna be as good because Nintendo didn't make it. Does that make sense? I hope so. All right. Next up, we actually have the first Mario RPG game here. We have Mario & Luigi Paper Jam. Now, this game came out to some pretty poor reviews. In fact, I recall Paper Jam getting a 5.9 on IGN. And, you know, video games review guys, they're not the end-all, say-all, right? I'm sure you guys have played plenty of video games that got bad reviews and you loved them. And you probably played plenty of games that got great reviews and you're like, I don't get it. This game sucks. And I think we could say the same thing for movies too. I mean, how many critics have said a movie or a TV show or series is complete crap and we're like, really? I absolutely love it. So, you know, it is what it is. It didn't get great reviews critically, but it's funny. If you look at the Google reviews, I think I looked at it actually earlier today. It had a 93% like ratio. And I kind of like the Google reviews because it's more like, I feel like it's more normal people, you know, gamers going on there and reviewing the game and saying, hey, you know what? It's actually not that bad. It's not as bad as all the critics claim it to be. So I enjoyed Paper Jam. I don't think it's an A. I also don't think it's a C. It's definitely, to me, it's a B. All right, next we have Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. So, you know what? We'll go ahead and we're going to go Luigi's Mansion first because I want to talk about the first Luigi's Mansion. So, if I recall, I got a 7 out of 10 on IGN back in the day. And, you know, when the GameCube came out, I think we all wanted a Mario game. And you got to understand, when the NES came out, we got Mario, right? Launch day. The Game Boy came out, Super Mario Land, launch day. Super Nintendo came out, we got Super Mario World as a pack-in title. N64, we had Super Mario 64, right? So the N64 came out in September of 96 in the United States. And the GameCube came out November 2001. So fast forward 5 years, right? GameCube's coming out, we're all excited. Everybody wanted, a Mario launch title. It's like, it's been 5 years. We didn't get a sequel to Mario 64 on the 64. So we all kind of thought, like, well, since we haven't got a sequel, obviously it's going to be a launch day Mario game on the GameCube. And of course it wasn't. We got Luigi's Mansion instead. And Luigi's Mansion is a good game. It's got a lot of charm to it. It controls great. It makes great use, actually, of the GameCube controller with the vacuum. It's funny. Definitely, shines the light on Luigi, gives him his own adventure. It's cool, man. Like, it's a really cool game. It's not Mario, right? And that's what everybody wanted when the GameCube launched. So, clearing all that out, just looking at it as, hey, this is just a game. It's not the game that we got instead of Mario. I'm going to give it a B. So, in my words, better than what IGN gave it. IGN gave it a 7 out of 10. I think that's a C, right? I think it's a B. And I'm giving this a B because we have Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon next. And Dark Moon was, in my opinion, much better than Luigi's Mansion on GameCube. It built upon the ideas of Luigi's Mansion and, fleshed it out more, made it a bigger and better game. They did more of what worked. And so for me, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon gets an A rating because it was a big improvement, in my opinion, over Luigi's Mansion. Next here, we have Mario & Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story. Now, I played the Mario & Luigi game since day one on Game Boy Advance, which we'll get to later in the ranking here. And I've really enjoyed the Mario & Luigi games. I think the humor, the writing is fantastic. I think it's really funny. It's very funny for a Mario game. Like, there's definitely some genuine laugh out loud moments, which I really appreciate. And I thought that was pretty cool to see Nintendo kind of go out of their comfort zone, and it's almost like they're writing a comedy RPG, So, Bowser's Inside Story, I thought was one of the better Mario & Luigi games. And so for me, that one's going to be an A ranking. So we have 2 Mario & Luigi's reviewed already here. And, like I said, they're not all going to be A rankings. Paper Jam's definitely a B, and we're going to get into some other ones later that aren't that great. And they're not going to be an A or a B. So next we have a new Super Mario Bros. U. This was a Wii U launch title. I got this with my Wii U on launch day. And it's tough because, like, for me, it felt like the new Super Mario Brothers series didn't feel new at all. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it didn't have any really new ideas. By the time I got to the Wii U, it was like getting pretty long in the tooth. And even when the first one came out, if I recall, the first one came out on, was a DS, right? And then we got the one on the regular Wii. And I don't know, man. I just wasn't like super into it. And to me, like, if you're going to make a 2D Mario game that's going to be coming out on consoles, I don't think it compares to the other 2D Mario games at all, like, that are on this list. it does not feel original. Nothing about it feels original. So I'm just like not a huge fan of these. I think they're good enough games, right? I just felt like they could have done better, personally. But I do think New Super Mario Bros. U was the best for what it was. And I did think this one was good. This one's still gonna get an A ranking. But I think New Super Mario Bros. For DS, it's gonna be a B. And New Super Mario for Wii is gonna be a B. And that's just how I feel, man. I just wasn't super impressed by these games. And, you know, I would have loved to have been impressed by them. I just wasn't. It is what it is. So next we have Super Mario Bros. 2. So this is always an interesting one because it's so different, right, from the other Mario games. And we saw this a lot during the Nintendo era. When I say Nintendo, I'm talking about NES, the regular Nintendo. A lot of games that were number 2 in the series, and I can just think of like 2 off the top of my head. We have obviously the Mario 2. Then we had Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, which was totally different from part 1 and 3. And then of course we had Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, that was completely different from the first Zelda. And some people hated it. Some people loved it. Some people tolerated it. You know what I mean? We all had our opinions on it. For me, being a kid in the 80s, just like seeing this box art back in the day was rad because I don't know, I don't know if it sparked imagination or what, but I just felt like this box art was pretty epic. And then, you know, you start the game and the music in the game is actually really good. It's got a lot of catchy tunes. Like from World 1-1 even to like the character select screen. The music in this game, like, I still remember to this day. And one of the coolest parts, of course, about Mario 2 is you could be Princess. You could be Luigi, you could be Mario, you could be Toad. And they all had different abilities, you know? Like Mario was the most balanced. Luigi could jump higher, but his control was like way more slippery. Sometimes it felt like you were like running on ice. With Toad, he could dig really fast. So, you know, he could be useful in some levels. Like, he's super useful, I think, in World 2, which is the desert. Because he can dig through the sand super quick. Princess, to me, and I think to most of us, was by far the best character. And it was just really fun to be able to be Princess. You know, you could float through the sky. It was just cool, man. So, Mario 2... it gets an A ranking, and again, maybe most people wouldn't give it an A, but growing up, you didn't know that Mario 2 was Doki Doki Panic, that it was some game in Japan that Nintendo, you know, reskinned and called it Mario 2. We didn't know any of that stuff back in the day. We just took it for what it was, and we enjoyed it. Okay, now we're getting into some top tier stuff here. Seeing what's next. So next we have Super Mario Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey, to me, and I would presume to many of you, is the pinnacle of 3D Mario platforming. By far. This game is amazing. The music in the game is amazing. The control, the worlds, you name it, man. This game just has so much, and I can't wait to see what we get on Switch too. I don't know if we'll get a Mario Odyssey 2, if it'll be something else. Who knows? But just seeing what they made here gets me excited for what's to come. So Super Mario Odyssey, that's an easy for me. That's easy S tier all day. That's a no-brainer for me. And the next one, Super Mario RPG. So I remember seeing this game on store shelves at Blockbuster. And again, Mario RPG came out, I believe it was in May of 1996. So Super Nintendo had been out for a while. Obviously, it was towards the end of the lifespan. And you had Nintendo 64, you know, looming on the horizon, right? with that coming out in September. And I remember seeing the Super Mario RPG and, you know, in the top right of the box art where it says only for, you know, Super Nintendo. And I had never really played an RPG at that point in my life. I had rented some games that were RPGs, and I think I didn't quite understand them back in the day. Like, I remember playing the original Final Fantasy on NES, and I think I was like 4 or 5, right? So I just didn't really understand how this worked. And my brothers, 2 older brothers that obviously played a lot of Nintendo, and they didn't play RPGs, so I didn't really have anyone to learn from, I guess. And you gotta remember, there was no internet yet. And if you rent the game and there's no instruction booklet, you're kind of SOL in understanding how an RPG actually works. I think the biggest thing was I didn't understand the turn-based combat. Like, why it was that way and why it wasn't like Zelda combat, like real-time combat. And I also I think I didn't understand why I would move around the map for like 5 seconds and then I'd get into a fight again. I felt like I could like never progress kind of thing, if that makes sense. So I didn't really understand RPGs until this game came out. I can't tell you how many times my cousin Jim and I rented this from Blockbuster. This game is absolutely amazing. To me, it is the best Mario RPG. That's pretty easy. There's another one on this list that I think very highly of. But for me, this is still the best Mario RPG. I mean, it was made by, you know, Nintendo and Square before they were, of course, Square Enix. So that's an easy S tier. All right, next we have Super Mario 3D Land. Of course, I have this game. I think it's cool. It's really cool. It uses the 3D on the 3DS very well. Obviously, you know, pretty much all Nintendo first-party games took advantage of the 3DS's, you know, major feature that you can play it in 3D. And so, of course, all of those games are going to be great. Super Mario 3D Land, to me, gets an A ranking. Okay, so now we have Super Paper Mario on the Wii. I wanted to love this game, clearly, because the last Paper Mario that I had played on a console was Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door for GameCube, right? So, you know, that's the high of highs right there. And then we got Super Paper Mario, and it's like, dude, what is this? This doesn't feel like an RPG. Like, it feels like this game doesn't know even what it wants to be, you know? Like, it didn't have the identity. It just felt like it was supposed to be something else almost. It was weird. Guys, I'll probably revisit this game. I probably will. You know, at some point in my life, I'm going to revisit this game. But for now, it gets a C ranking. That's the first Paper Mario on here that's got a C ranking. Just was not a big fan of it. Alright, next we have Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. So this was the first Mario & Luigi game. I had it pre-ordered way back in the day on the GBA. And again, this is our first introduction to Mario & Luigi. I was caught off guard playing the game with all the comedy in it. I was like, I'm not expecting this. I wasn't expecting to be laughing out loud playing a Mario RPG game. It was really cool, really well written. The gameplay was very fun. I remember it had like some cool gameplay hooks when you're actually in the turn-based battles between Mario and Luigi. You know, it had some timed attacks just like Mario RPG did. Really fun game. I'm going to give that an A ranking. Okay, next we have Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. So to me, this was the pinnacle of Paper Mario games. Now, Paper Mario, Mario & Luigi, Super Mario RPG, all three of those series are Mario RPG games, right? but they're different. Mario and Luigi is its own separate RPG entity. So is Paper Mario. Super Mario RPG, we never got a sequel. I don't know if we ever will. You know, I guess it doesn't matter. It's in a league of its own, in my opinion. But Thousand Year Door took, again, everything that was great in the Nintendo 64, Paper Mario, and brought it to new heights. The graphics especially, I remember, so nice, so clean. You know, really felt like a real story book, like a pop-up book when you're playing the game. And it was just a blast. Memorable characters. That's another game I'll return back to, and I have it, thankfully. I kept my original copy because obviously this game goes for a lot of money these days, so I'm glad I still have it. Fond memories of this one. That is an S ranking for sure. Okay, next we have Super Mario 3D World, and as you guys know, like, this game came out on the Wii U, and it also came out on Switch. I think it's a blast, honestly. Both versions of the game, a lot of fun. For me, that is going to be an A ranking. Okay, next we have New Super Mario Bros. 2. Again. It was getting very redundant. Is this a game I'll play again? Yeah, I will. Because, you know, I think a lot of Nintendo fans were exhausted at this point with the new Super Mario Bros. Series. It's like, dude, this does not feel new anymore. You know, we had the new Super Mario Brothers, the first one on DS, and then we had the one on Wii, and then we have this one on 3DS, and we had the one on Wii U. It was just like, enough already. But maybe I had new Super Mario Brothers fatigue. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep positive here, and maybe it's something I'd return back to. For now, it's a B ranking. Okay, next we have Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Again, I think, if I recall, this one did not get a great critical rating, but I still thought it was good. It's going into the B territory. Okay, next, I mean, we're getting some real good ones here. We have Super Mario Galaxy 2. There's so much great things to say about this. You know, if I recall reading some interviews back in the day with Nintendo, and Miyamoto may have commented on this, I don't recall. But I remember Nintendo saying that they had created a lot of extra levels, and they still had a lot of ideas that they wanted to implement into Super Mario Galaxy. And when they finished making the game, they had so much extra stuff that they're like, you know what? We're going to make a sequel. From what I gathered, that was not the plan when they first started Mario Galaxy, and even when they finished it, they just had so much extra. They're like, you know what? We're going to make a sequel. We're going to make another game. Thankfully, so happy they did. So happy we got Yoshi in the game. That was a very cool element, obviously. You know, you never know if you're going to get Yoshi in a Mario game. Ever since we got Yoshi in Super Mario World, it's kind of always been a treat when you get Yoshi. So, of course, Yoshi was smack dab in the middle on that box art. The game was an absolute blast. I remember the music was fantastic. If I recall, Nintendo did all of the music with a full symphony orchestra, which is really cool. They did it for both Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. So many great things to say about it. There's so much variety. You know, it's like you get to different planets, and at first, from a distance, like if you're judging a book by the cover, you might think that everything's going to be space themed, outer space, something like that. Not even close. There's so much variety in this game. Like, they were able to basically create whatever video game atmospheres they wanted to, whatever environments they wanted, they were able to create. Because you're traveling from planet to planet, so the sky's the limit, like literally and figuratively, right? So for me, easily Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, easy A. Okay, next we have New Yoshi's Island. I thought this game was solid, but oddly enough, I prefer Yoshi's Island on Super Nintendo, and I thought it was honestly better. I don't think New Yoshi's Island did enough for me to reinvent anything. So this might be a weird ranking, but I'm gonna go with a B on this. Okay, next we have Paper Mario Color Splash. Again, this was another Paper Mario that just like, it wasn't great. It was for the Wii U. We were hoping for greatness, and we just didn't get it. And for now, I may go back and change this at some point in life. For now, it's a C. And I hate to see it there, but it's the way it is, man. All right, next we have Super Mario Land. Super Mario Land, what can I say about it? It was the Game Boy launch title. It had very memorable music in the game. It was a lot of fun, actually. It was very short. You could beat it very easily. Obviously, you know, if you go back and play it today, you could go see for yourself. There's many different ways to play it. But I appreciate this game for what it did. For what it is. For me, it's a B ranking. And you know, they didn't have all the technology. This was a Game Boy launch title. So honestly, I thought it was pretty damn good for what it was. Okay, next we have Mario and Luigi Partners in Time for the DS. And I thought this one was great as well. For me, this is an A ranking. Partners in Time, blast. Paper Mario for 64. Phenomenal game, guys. If you have not played it, many ways of playing it. Some I can't mention on the channel. But obviously, you got your OG way of playing it on the N64. If I recall, actually I know for a fact, it was on the Wii shop. So if you happen to have downloaded it on your Nintendo Wii back in the day, that's another way of playing it. And of course, it's on the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack service. So if you have the expansion pack, you can play this right now. If you haven't played it, what are you waiting for? Seriously. Fantastic game. Absolutely love it. Again, I own this game. I own the original cartridge from when I bought it back in the day. This is another one that fetches a real high price on eBay. So for me, easy S tier. Easy. We're about to get into a lot of real good ones here. Okay, next one, Paper Mario Sticker Star. I have this game. I don't think it's phenomenal. I don't think it's horrible. It's borderline B or C. I give it the benefit of the doubt. I give it a B. I don't think it's quite a C. All right, next. Big one, guys. Super Mario 64. I gotta imagine this is a very special game for many of us. It introduced Mario into 3D platforming era. And you gotta remember at this point, this is a 96, right? PlayStation came out in 95. And so we had already seen a good handful of games try to figure out how to take a 2D game and make it into a three-dimensional game. And it was bad, dude. It was really bad. Like, the future was not looking very bright at that point for 2D games to translate into a 3D world. One of the biggest problems was camera angles back in the day. And I don't know if you guys remember that, but the camera angles were very, very bad. Like what we get today with games is just, you know, so much better. Like we have it good today compared to what we dealt with back then. It was some games were unplayable because of the camera angle, if that makes sense. Because the camera was just total crap. Mario 64 nailed that. Everything about it, the music, the control. Obviously, the Nintendo 64 controller was tailor-made, actually, for Super Mario 64. A lot of great stories about that. About how that 64 controller was created, why it was created, you know, why it's such a weird controller. But it was made for Mario 64. And obviously jumping through paintings in this game, all the secrets, you know, getting 120 stars, going on top of the roof. Just so many great memories about this game. And I got a lot of Mario 64 stories. I'm going to hold on to them though. I'll probably do another video and talk to you guys about how I got to play this for the first time. And it was before it came out in the United States. I'll just leave it at that. But for me, this is an easy S tier. We wouldn't be where we are today for video games if not for Mario 64, and that's a fact. Okay, next, Super Mario Brothers 3. I mean, I'm wearing a Mario Brothers 3 shirt, guys. What do you think this is gonna get? This is an easy S tier for me. You know, I got a movie here. The Wizard. Got this in recently on Amazon. Super Mario Brothers 3 is the pinnacle of regular Nintendo Marios, of course. Does it still hold up today? Without a doubt. Mario 3 is like, you know, home cooking. It just feels right, man. And it's just, to me, it's the best. It's easily the best NES Mario. And for me, it's like a tie with Super Mario World. And obviously Mario World, it had, you know, more levels, more exits, more secrets. Had more of everything. Better graphics. All that. But Mario 3 is really special, dude. I gotta imagine everyone's played it by this point. But if you haven't, again, what are you waiting for? Go play it. Easy. S tier. More Reddit. Super Mario World. Easy. Easy S tier. Super Mario World, you know, the Mario pack-in launch title for the Super Nintendo. It took everything Mario 3 did and made it better. Better graphics, better sound, add in Yoshi, more special abilities, more levels, more exits, just everything. It felt like actually a good sequel to Super Mario Brothers 3. It really picked up where we left off in a sense. Not by story, but by everything that it did right. It laid that wonderful foundation with Mario 3, and then Super Mario World just took it to literally the next level. It took it from 8-bit to 16-bit. And we all know how amazing that game is, man. I absolutely love it. And that's one that I return back to kind of on a regular basis. Maybe every few years I'll play through it on a Saturday morning or on a rainy day. It was one of my favorite games to play when you have days like that. Alright, next we have Super Mario All-Stars. And I think one thing that really stood out to people back in the day was honestly the box art. The box art was just great. You got Mario, who looks like he's dressed up as like a magician, or is that right? Magician? He's got the top hat there. At any rate, this was the first time we got basically a remaster. We got Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, 3, and we got the Super Mario Brothers Lost Levels which was Super Mario Brothers 2 in Japan. And if you don't know, the reason we didn't get that game is because they thought it would be too hard for Americans. That's why we got the Super Mario Brothers 2 that we got. So it was pretty cool that we ended up getting basically a brand new Mario game that we had never gotten to play at that point. And of course, by remastering, we got Super Nintendo graphics, we got improved sound. It was really cool. It's very special. It's, for a lot of people, I think it's the preferred way for them to play the Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3. So absolutely love it. It's an easy S tier. And it has to be an S tier. Because even though it's a remaster, guys, you're taking Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3, plus a game we never got. And you're putting them into, Super Nintendo graphics and sound. Some of the best games of all time. Easy S tier. Okay, next we have Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers, what's there to say about it? You know, what hasn't been said already? If not for the Nintendo coming out, I don't know if we'd have video games anymore. You know, Atari crashed the market. And nobody wanted anything to do with video games. Nobody did back in the day. They felt ripped off. They felt like their money had been wasted. And there were just so many bad games that came out on Atari, and they kept coming out with new systems. You had the Atari, then you had the 2600, then the 5200, then the 7800, and they were releasing them like one after another. And people were just paying all this money, man, and like not able to even enjoy the systems because a new system comes out, and then they stop making games for that. It was bad. Obviously, there's many books written about it. There's many documentaries, but Nintendo saved video games. And part of saving it was Super Mario Brothers, meaning like we would not have video games today the way we do if not for this. And you know, maybe somebody else would have came, right? Maybe some other company would have, but I guarantee you it wouldn't be as good as it is today. And so for that, it has to get an S tier ranking. It has to. Because we don't have what we have today without it. So next we have Super Mario Land 2, Legend of the Six Golden Coins. And this game was a blast. It was pretty weird. It controlled kind of different. I remember Mario, like when you jump in the game, you felt like you were floating a little bit, but it had a lot of different power-ups. It had a lot of different suits, and like I remember you can get into a spaceship. There's a level where it turns into like a side-scrolling shoot 'em up. It was really cool, man. It was really cool. It was very memorable. I would actually give this an A ranking because I think it's better than Super Mario Land. I do. It was a step up in all the right ways, so I think that gets the A ranking. Okay, next, this is a tough one, guys. Super Mario Sunshine. It really, we got Luigi's Mansion, right, on launch day. And Nintendo was like, we're working on the new Mario game. Obviously, we'll release it when it's ready. Nintendo obviously was no stranger to delaying games. That's what they preferred to do. They would never release a game if it was crap. They would just delay it and say, we're just going to work on making it as good as we can. I think for me, it was the direction of the game. I think the controls at times could be kind of confusing on the GameCube controller. I think the premise of it too was, there's paint everywhere, there's graffiti everywhere, and you're cleaning it up with your water hose. I remember the commercial. Clean is better than dirty, and dirty's better than clean. And there was a song. There's a whole song that goes with it. I mean, it was very interesting back in the day. But I think that's when Nintendo was doing, honestly, different things. If you think about it at the time, with GameCube, we had 3 things actually happen. You had Mario really stray from a great foundation that was laid with Super Mario 64. Like, you could have just given us a sequel to Mario 64 and people would have been thrilled. I think it would have sold easily twice as many sales or software as Super Mario Sunshine, and I think it would have moved way more Nintendo GameCubes back in the day if you would have just gave us a sequel to Mario 64. But it's Nintendo, and as we know, they want to be different. They like to try new things, which is good. I wanted it to be so much better back in the day, guys. I really did. And I might get knocked for this. I might. But Mario Sunshine to me is a B ranking. And it should have been better. It really should have. Hate to do that. Alright. Last but not least, guys, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. And you know what? Actually, I love this game. The crying babies don't really bother me. You know, Baby Mario. Got him right here. And Baby Luigi. I know that a lot of people would get super annoyed by that. But it's like, hey, dude, just don't get knocked off Yoshi and you won't have to hear it very often. Obviously, you can't avoid every enemy attack. But come on. This game's not super hard, right? You can avoid a lot of the enemy attacks and you'll barely hear the babies crying. And obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, you know, you play as Baby Mario and Yoshi, right on Yoshi the whole game. And if you get knocked off of Yoshi, you have, if I recall, 30 seconds to get back on Yoshi, and there's a countdown timer. And Baby Mario or Luigi will cry until you get back on Yoshi. And a lot of people were super annoyed by that. I was fine with it, thankfully. I think it's a great game. I think the soundtrack's great. I think the story is actually kind of cute. It's kind of charming. I think the level variety was great. The graphics in this game were really cool. I mean, they look like hand-drawn animation, basically. And there were a lot of secrets, a lot of different exits. I thought it was a blast. And I remember the end boss, and I won't give any spoilers for anyone who, you know, hasn't played this game that came out in 1995, but the end boss was really fun too. The whole gameplay element of shooting eggs with Yoshi, all of it, man, it was a blast. Fond memories of this game. You know, was it as good as Super Mario World? No, it wasn't. But it's still, to me, it gets an A ranking. And so there you have it, guys. So this is how I feel about the Mario games. I've played them all. I love them. I don't especially love Super Paper Mario or Paper Mario Color Splash, but I am willing to revisit those to see if maybe I can learn to love them. I would like that very much. But I would say everything B ranking and up. Well worth playing, guys. Well worth playing. And if you haven't played these games, like, play them. These S tier games are absolutely phenomenal. They're amazing. They're masterpieces. A tiers, pretty damn close to being a masterpiece too. And the Bs are all worth playing, no doubt. These are games that I'll keep in my collection forever and that I'll probably always revisit. So that's it for today. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you're new here to the channel, please do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends and family. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.